Dr. Jun Kim looked through the window of the space station. His heart beat fast as he watched the strange ship. It had come without warning. The ship was smooth and shiny, unlike any human spacecraft. "It's really happening," he said quietly. Next, to him, Sue Park nodded. Her eyes were wide with wonder. After all these years of looking to the stars, they found us first. The alien ship had appeared 3 hours ago. It came to a stop near the International Space Station without making any noise or showing any engines. World leaders were in emergency meetings. News channels showed nothing else. And Dr. Kim, Korea's top scientist in space physics, had been rushed to the space station along with 5 other experts from around the world. "They're sending a smaller ship to dock with us," said Dae-han, the youngest member of Kim's research team. He pointed to a part of the alien vessel that was opening up. A small shuttle left the main ship. It moved smoothly toward the space station's docking area. "Remember," said the American general who had been put in charge, "we represent all of Earth now. Be respectful but show no fear." Dr. Kim nodded, but his mind was racing with questions. How did they travel between stars? What kind of science made that possible? These were the things he had spent his life trying to figure out. The docking area doors opened. Everyone held their breath. The aliens walked in slowly. There were 4 of them. They stood upright on 2 legs like humans, but that was where the similarities ended. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer slightly. They had no hair, and their eyes were large and completely black. They wore simple white robes with strange symbols on them. One alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Talira of the Galactic Council," she said in perfect English. Her voice had an odd musical quality to it. "We come in peace to meet the newest potential members of our galactic community." The humans relaxed a little. The general stepped forward and welcomed them, explaining who each human was. When he introduced Dr. Kim, Talira's large eyes seemed to focus more intently. "A physics researcher? Excellent. We have much to discuss." After the formal greetings, they moved to the station's conference room. The aliens explained who they were, a species called the Nelvarans, and about the Galactic Council they represented. "The Council includes over 300 different intelligent species," Talira explained. "We have governed this galaxy for thousands of years. We maintain peace and help developing worlds like yours join the larger community. We detected your radio signals long ago," another alien added. "But we did not expect you to advance so quickly. Most species take much longer to reach your level of technology." Dr. Kim leaned forward. "How do you travel between star systems? The distances are too vast for conventional travel." Talira made a gesture that might have been a smile. "Faster than light travel is the key to joining the galactic community. Every council member must develop this ability on their own. It is our most important rule." She took out a small device and placed it on the table. It projected a 3D image of the galaxy. "We have been watching Earth for some time. Your species shows great promise, but also concerning tendencies. Your wars, your environmental damage, these things worry the Council. But," she continued, "we believe in giving all intelligent life a chance to join us. That is why we are here today." Talira looked at each human in turn. "The Council offers Earth this opportunity. You have 5 Earth years to develop faster than light travel on your own. If you succeed, you will be welcomed as full members of the Council, with all the benefits that brings, including protection, trade, and knowledge exchange." The room was silent for a moment. "And if we fail?" asked the general. "Then Earth will be placed under observation for another 100 years before being reconsidered." Dr. Kim frowned. 5 years is not much time to develop such advanced technology." "That is true," Talira said. "As a gesture of goodwill, we will share some basic theoretical principles." She handed Dr. Kim a small crystal. "This contains information that will point you in the right direction, but the actual development must be your own." After the meeting, the aliens returned to their ship. They promised to come back in exactly 5 years. Back on Earth, Dr. Kim and his team set up in their lab at the Korean Advanced Physics Institute. The world's governments had agreed to pool their resources. This project would get unlimited funding. Dr. Kim plugged the alien crystal into a special computer. Information filled the screens, complex equations and diagrams about space-time and wormhole creation. "This is amazing," Sue said, scanning through the data. "But also disappointing." "What do you mean?" asked Day. "Look at the approach they're suggesting." She pointed to the screen. "It's basically what Dr. Kim theorized 3 years ago, using exotic matter to create stable wormholes. The same method we already knew was possible but too difficult with our current technology." Dr. Kim nodded slowly. "They're giving us a path they know we can't complete in 5 years. The Nelvarans expect us to fail." He walked to the window and looked up at the night sky. Then he turned back to his team with determination in his eyes. "But we won't follow their path. For years I've been working on another approach, one that Earth's science community thought was too dangerous to pursue." He went to his private safe and took out an old notebook. Inside were handwritten equations and diagrams. "This is different from anything in the alien data. Instead of gently folding space-time, we punch through it directly." Day looked concerned. "Your Thunderbolt theory? But the energy requirements are enormous. And the simulations showed dangerous side effects." "Yes, but we now have the resources to solve those problems," Dr. Kim said. "And we have no choice. The Council's method would take decades to perfect. We have 5 years." Sue studied the notebook. "The aliens think we'll either fail or follow their safe established method. They don't expect us to try something completely different." Dr. Kim smiled slightly. "Exactly. Throughout history, humans have always found unexpected solutions when backed into a corner. We don't give up. We don't always follow the rules. We try the impossible." He gathered his team around a whiteboard and began writing new equations. "The Council thinks we're too primitive to join them," he said. "But they're about to learn something about humans. We're full of surprises." Outside, night fell over Korea. In labs across the world, scientists began working on the alien FTL method. But in Dr. Kim's lab, a different path was taking shape, one that would eventually shock the entire galaxy. Dr. Kim looked at his team with fierce determination. "Let's show them what humans can do." 3 years passed quickly. Dr. Kim's lab had grown much bigger. What started as a small team was now a huge project with scientists from all over the world. The large room hummed with the sound of machines. Every wall had whiteboards covered in equations. In the center stood a strange device that looked like a mix between a jet engine and a giant metal donut. "How's the new power system working?" Dr. Kim asked as he walked into the lab. He looked tired. Dark circles showed under his eyes, but they still burned with determination. Sue looked up from her computer. "Better than expected. The fusion reactor is giving us 87% of the power we need. We're getting closer." Day worked on another part of the machine. He was checking connections and typing on a tablet. "The containment field is stable now. Last test held for 3 minutes before breaking down." Dr. Kim nodded. Progress was happening, but time was running out. They had spent 3 years developing their unconventional FTL drive. The aliens would return in just 2 more years. At the other side of the lab, a group of government officials and military leaders arrived for their monthly visit. They looked nervous. "Dr. Kim," called the lead official, "we need an update for the president. The other research groups are making very little progress following the alien method. Your project is now Earth's main hope." Dr. Kim sighed. He had tried to explain their approach many times, but non-scientists found it hard to understand. He led the group to a simple model in the corner of the lab. "The aliens and all council races use this method for FTL travel," he said, pointing to a display showing 2 points with a curved line between them. "They use exotic matter to bend space-time, creating a stable bridge, a wormhole, between 2 locations. It's elegant and safe. But it's also very hard to do and takes hundreds of years to perfect." Sue stepped forward with another display. "We're doing something completely different." This display showed a small ship with a strange bubble around it. In front of the ship was a dark spot, while behind it was a bright glow. Instead of bending space, Dr. Kim explained, we're punching through it directly. We create a very strong gravity point in front of the ship, like a tiny black hole, while generating a powerful pushing force behind it. The ship falls forward faster than light. One official frowned. That sounds dangerous. It is, Day admitted. That's why no one tried it before. The energy needed is huge, and there are side effects. Side effects? A military leader asked. Dr. Kim turned on a simulation. It showed their test ship making a jump. As it did, waves of energy spread outward through space. Every time we use this drive, it creates a disturbance in space-time that spreads out from the ship, he said. Nothing dangerous to planets or people, but it makes a kind of noise in the fabric of reality. Think of it like dragging your nails across a chalkboard, Sue added. The universe feels it. Some sensitive species might even hear it. The officials looked worried. And you're sure this won't cause permanent damage? The disturbance fades quickly, Dr. Kim assured them. Space-time heals itself, but every jump leaves a small scar that takes about a day to disappear completely. Why would you choose such a messy method? Asked a scientist from another team, who had joined the tour. Dr. Kim's eyes narrowed. Because it will work with our current technology level. The alien method would take decades, maybe centuries. We don't have that kind of time. He walked over to the prototype drive in the center of the lab. We call it the Thunderbolt drive. In theory, it can move a ship 1 light-year in under 4 seconds. And in practice? The official asked. We'll find out soon, Dr. Kim said. The first test is scheduled for next month. After the officials left, Dr. Kim sat down heavily in his chair. Sue brought him a cup of coffee. You didn't tell them everything, she said quietly. Dr. Kim shook his head. They wouldn't understand. The Thunderbolt drive doesn't just disturb space-time. It offends it. We're breaking rules that maybe shouldn't be broken. But it's our only chance, Day said, joining them. The latest report from the teams working on the council method shows they're at least 15 years away from success. I know, Dr. Kim said. That's why we have to continue. The aliens gave us an impossible task thinking we would fail or spend decades trying to copy them. They never expected us to find another way. A week later, they received news that made their work even more urgent. The alien ship had been spotted at the edge of the solar system. They were early. They're not supposed to return for 2 more years, Sue said, looking at the report. Why are they here now? To check on our progress, Dr. Kim guessed. They probably expect to find us struggling with the basics of their method. What should we do? Asked Day. Dr. Kim thought for a moment. We continue as planned. Let them watch our test next month. If it works, they'll be surprised. If it fails, well, at least they won't know our full plans. The alien delegation arrived at the research facility 3 days later. Ambassador Talira looked the same as she had 3 years ago. Her face showed no emotion as Dr. Kim showed her the lab. Interesting approach, she said, looking at the Thunderbolt drive. But this is not the method we suggested. We found it didn't suit our needs, Dr. Kim said carefully. This design is based on our own research. No species in the council uses a drive like this, Talira said. There are good reasons for that. We work with what we have, Dr. Kim replied. Humans have always been good at finding new solutions to old problems. Talira studied him with her large black eyes. Your species continues to surprise us. Most races accept our guidance and follow the proven path. Is that why you came back early? To guide us back to your path? We came to observe, Talira said. The council is curious about your progress. As the aliens left the lab, Sue moved close to Dr. Kim. They're worried, she whispered. They didn't expect us to try something new. Dr. Kim nodded. And they should be worried. If the Thunderbolt drive works, humans will join the stars in our own unique way, not as followers, but as innovators. He looked at the prototype, its metal surface reflecting the lab lights. 1 month until the test. Let's make sure it works perfectly. Around the world, teams of engineers began building the test ship that would carry the Thunderbolt drive. It would be small, just big enough for one pilot. They named it The audacity. The morning of the test was bright and clear. In the desert, the small ship called Audacity stood ready on its launch pad. It looked simple from the outside, just a silver pod with no wings. But inside was the most advanced piece of technology humans had ever built. Captain Ji Lee walked toward the ship in her flight suit. She was calm, but her eyes showed excitement. As Korea's top test pilot, she had flown many experimental aircraft. But this was different. No human had ever traveled faster than light before. "Are you ready?" Dr. Kim asked, walking beside her. "As ready as anyone can be," Ji replied with a small smile. "The simulations went well. I know what to expect." Dr. Kim nodded, but they both knew that simulations could only prepare her so much. No one really knew what it would feel like to tear through space-time. "Remember," Dr. Kim said, "the jump should take exactly 3.8 seconds. You'll travel 1 light minute away and then return immediately. If anything feels wrong, use the emergency shutdown." Ji nodded. "I understand." In the distance, a group of official-looking vehicles approached. The alien delegation had arrived to watch the test. 4 large vans with dark windows parked near the control center. "They brought more observers this time," Sue noted, joining Dr. Kim as Ji continued toward the ship. "Of course they did," Dr. Kim said. "They're worried about what we're doing. This isn't how new species are supposed to join the Galactic community." Ambassador Talira stepped out of the lead vehicle with 6 other aliens. They wore protective suits now, designed to help them breathe in Earth's atmosphere. They walked to the observation area set up for VIPs. "Dr. Kim," Talira called out, "a word before the test." Dr. Kim walked over to her. Up close, he could see what looked like concern in her large black eyes. "Our scientists have reviewed your drive design," she said. "We strongly recommend postponing this test. Your approach is unstable." Dr. Kim kept his face neutral. "Thank you for your concern, Ambassador, but we've done extensive testing. The Thunderbolt drive is ready." "You don't understand the risks," Talira insisted. "This method has been tried by other species in the past. The results were never good." This was new information, but Dr. Kim didn't show his surprise. "Our calculations show acceptable risk levels. The Council would be willing to extend your deadline by 20 Earth years," Talira offered. "This would give you time to develop a proper wormhole drive." Dr. Kim smiled. "Slightly. That's very generous, but we will proceed as planned. Captain Lee is ready, and so is the Audacity." Talira's face showed an emotion that looked like resignation. "Then we will observe. But please understand that what you are about to do may have consequences you cannot predict." Dr. Kim returned to the control center where Day and Sue were running final checks on the systems. On the screens, they could see Ji inside the ship, going through her pre-flight routine. "All systems green," Day reported. "Power levels at 98% and holding steady." Outside, a voice on loudspeakers asked all non-essential personnel to move to the safe zone, 1 mile away from the launch pad. The alien delegation remained in their observation area, watching with what seemed like a mix of curiosity and dread. "Talira tried to get us to delay the test," Dr. Kim told his team. "She said other species have tried our method before." "And she's only telling us this now?" Sue asked, looking up from her screen. "They never expected us to try something different," Day said. "They thought we'd follow their path like good little students." In the ship, Ji's voice came through the speakers. "Pre-flight checks complete. Thunderbolt drive is charged and ready. Requesting permission to begin countdown." Dr. Kim took a deep breath. This was the moment they had worked toward for 3 years. "Permission granted, Captain Lee. Good luck." Everyone in the control center fell silent. The screen showed Ji's calm face as she began the launch sequence. Starting countdown. 10, 9, 8. Dr. Kim looked at the alien delegation. They stood perfectly still, watching. 3, 2, 1. Activating Thunderbolt drive now. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Audacity sat motionless on the pad. Then the air around it began to shimmer like the heat waves above hot pavement. Suddenly, a bright flash of light erupted around the ship. It wasn't like a rocket launch. There was no fire, no smoke. Instead, reality itself seemed to bend and warp. The light was so intense that many people covered their eyes, and then came something no one had predicted. A sound, not heard with ears but felt in bones and teeth and deep in the mind. It was like a high-pitched scream that existed somewhere between sound and thought. Everyone at the test site winced or grabbed their heads. Then, just as suddenly, the light and the strange sensation were gone. And so was the audacity. The control room erupted in a mix of cheers and concerned voices. "What was that sound?" someone asked. "Not a sound," Sue said, looking at her readings. "Some kind of quantum disturbance. The drive tore through space-time more violently than our simulations predicted." Dr. Kim looked at his watch. "Now we wait. If everything went according to plan, she'll reappear in 3.8 seconds. Those seconds stretched like hours. Dr. Kim found himself holding his breath. Exactly 3.8 seconds later, there was another flash of light, and that same strange, not-quite-sound sensation. The Audacity reappeared on the pad, looking exactly as it had before. The control room exploded in cheers. People hugged each other and shouted in joy. Humanity had done it, achieved faster than light travel. "Captain Lee, do you copy?" Dr. Kim asked urgently into the microphone. For a moment, there was silence. Then G's voice came through, steady but somehow changed. "Control, this is Captain Lee. FTL, jump successful. I'm okay." The relief in the room was palpable. Dr. Kim let out the breath he'd been holding. "What did you see?" he asked. "Everything. Smeared." G replied slowly, as if searching for words. The stars stretched like lines of light. And there was something else. A place between places. I can't really describe it. As the team celebrated, Dr. Kim looked over at the alien delegation. They were not celebrating. In fact, they seemed to be in distress. Several aliens were holding their heads, and Talira was speaking urgently into a communication device. Day noticed too. "They felt it more strongly than we did," he said quietly. "The quantum disturbance," Sue nodded. "Their biology must be more sensitive to it." Dr. Kim frowned. "Let's get G out of there and make sure she's really okay. Then we should talk to the aliens." As medical teams rushed to the Audacity, Dr. Kim watched the alien delegation. Talira looked directly at him. Even from a distance, he could see the alarm in her eyes. Humanity had achieved faster than light travel, but not in the way the Galactic Council had expected or wanted. And judging by the aliens' reaction, the consequences were just beginning. 2 days after the successful test, Dr. Kim sat in a large meeting room at the United Nations building in New York. Around the table were world leaders, military officials, and top scientists. On a large screen at the front of the room was Ambassador Talira. Her face looked more serious than ever. "The Galactic Council has called an emergency meeting," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed worry. "Your FTL test has caused concerns." "Concerns?" asked the UN Secretary General. "We successfully developed faster-than-light travel within your deadline. Isn't that what you wanted?" Talira's large black eyes blinked slowly. "We expected you to develop a standard wormhole drive. As all other Council races have done, your Thunderbolt drive is something else entirely." Dr. Kim leaned forward. "Is there a problem with our method?" "Yes," Talira said simply. "A significant one. When your ship activated its drive, the quantum disturbance was felt across 20 light-years in all directions." The room fell silent. Dr. Kim exchanged glances with Sue and Day, who sat beside him. "What do you mean, felt?" Sue asked. "There are species in the Council with heightened quantum sensitivity," Talira explained. "For them, your drive activation was like a painful scream directly into their minds. Psychic races experienced collective migraines. Navigation systems on dozens of worlds experienced momentary failures." "That's impossible," Day said. "Our calculations showed the disturbance would fade within a few light minutes." "Your calculations were wrong," Talira replied. Or perhaps incomplete, given your limited understanding of quantum mechanics. Dr. Kim frowned. Why didn't you warn us more clearly if you knew this would happen? Because no species has ever pushed forward with this method after being shown the proper way, Talira said. Her voice had an edge to it now. The few who experimented with similar drives abandoned them once they understood the consequences. The Secretary General looked troubled. What exactly are you saying, Ambassador? The Council demands that Earth cease all further testing of the Thunderbolt drive immediately, Talira stated. You must dismantle the prototype and destroy all research related to this technology. The room erupted in angry voices. Leaders from different countries spoke over each other. Some were outraged, others worried. That's unacceptable, said the Korean president firmly once the noise died down. We spent years and vast resources developing this technology. It's our achievement. And you want us to just throw it away? Added another world leader. After you challenged us to develop FTL travel? Talira remained calm. We challenged you to develop proper FTL travel. What you created is crude, disruptive, and potentially dangerous if used on a large scale. Dr. Kim stood up slowly. Ambassador, with all due respect, you set us an impossible task. You gave us information that you knew would take decades to implement successfully, and you gave us just 5 years to do it. Did you ever actually want us to succeed? The alien was silent for a moment. Then she said, The Council believed the challenge would be beneficial for your species regardless of the outcome. Most races try, fail, and then continue developing along approved lines with extended deadlines. But we didn't fail, Dr. Kim said. We found another way, a human way. A way that causes pain and disruption to other intelligent beings, Talira countered. Would you continue using a technology that hurts others just because you can? The room grew quiet again as people considered this question. Captain Ji Lee, who had been sitting quietly at one end of the table, finally spoke up. I felt it too, Ambassador. During the jump, there was a sensation like I was touching something I shouldn't. She paused, looking at Dr. Kim. But I also saw the stars in a way no human ever has before. I traveled faster than light. If we can reduce the disturbance, make it less harmful, that is not possible with your current approach. Talira interrupted. The method is fundamentally flawed. The meeting continued for hours. Tempers rose and fell. Eventually, they reached a temporary agreement. Earth would suspend further tests while a joint human-alien research team studied the effects of the Thunderbolt. Drive in more detail. As people filed out of the meeting room, Dr. Kim, Sue, and Day stayed behind with Captain Lee. They're afraid of us, Sue said quietly. That's what this is really about. Day nodded. We did in 5 years what took them centuries, and we did it in a completely different way. But what if she's right, G asked. What if our drive really does hurt other beings? Can we justify using it? Dr. Kim looked thoughtful. We need more information. Let's see what the joint research team finds. 1 week later, Dr. Kim received a classified report. The alien ships in orbit had suddenly increased in number. Over 20 Council vessels now circled Earth. It's not an invasion force, Sue said as they reviewed satellite images, but it's definitely a show of force. Then came another surprise. Talira requested a private meeting with Dr. Kim and his core team. They met in a secure room at the research facility. The Council has completed its analysis of your drive, she said without greeting. They have concluded that while the Thunderbolt drive is disruptive, it does not cause permanent harm. Dr. Kim raised his eyebrows. That's good news, isn't it? Not exactly, Talira replied. The Council is divided on how to proceed. Some members want to welcome Earth as promised. Others believe your technology is too unpredictable and want stronger restrictions. And what do you think? Day asked directly. Talira looked at each of them. I think your species is unlike any we have encountered before. You solve problems in ways we do not expect. That makes you valuable and concerning. What happens now? Dr. Kim asked. The Council has decided to offer Earth a compromise, Talira said. You may keep your Thunderbolt drive technology, but with strict limitations. FTL jumps must be restricted to designated corridors, far from populated systems. And you must share your research with the Council so that safety improvements can be implemented. Dr. Kim exchanged glances with his team. And if we agree to these terms, then Earth will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, Talira said. Full integration would follow over the next 10 Earth years. After Talira left, the team discussed the offer. They're trying to control us, Day said, looking frustrated. But they're also respecting our achievement, Sue pointed out. They could have tried to force us to abandon the drive completely. G had been quiet, but now she spoke up. When I was between the stars, I felt something vast. Space is bigger and stranger than we ever imagined. Maybe we do need rules for traveling through it. Dr. Kim nodded slowly. We proved we could do the impossible. Now we need to prove we can be responsible with that power. The next day, Earth's leaders accepted the Council's offer, with some adjustments. The Thunderbolt drive would remain humanity's achievement, but they would work with the Council to make it safer. As Dr. Kim explained to his team, this isn't just about FTL travel anymore. It's about humanity's place in the galaxy. We've earned their respect and their fear. Now we need to earn their trust. 1 year later, Dr. Kim stood on the observation deck of the Harmony, Earth's first diplomatic spaceship. The ship was large and sleek, painted white with blue stripes. It carried 200 people, scientists, diplomats, and crew members. Dr. Kim watched through the big window as they approached their destination. The Galactic Council headquarters was an enormous space station. It orbited a star that had no planets, chosen as neutral ground for all species. The station looked like a giant wheel with spokes going to a center hub. Hundreds of alien ships of different shapes and sizes moved around it. It's amazing, Sue said, standing next to Dr. Kim. Her eyes were wide with wonder. I never thought I'd see something like this. None of us did, Dr. Kim replied. At least not so soon. The past year had been busy. After accepting the Council's offer, Earth had built the Harmony as a symbol of peace. The ship had a Thunderbolt drive, but a new, improved version. Dr. Kim's team had worked with alien scientists to reduce the noise it made when tearing through space. We're still getting strange looks from the other ships, Day said, joining them at the window. He pointed to an alien vessel that had changed course to avoid coming too close to the Harmony. They're still not comfortable with us, Dr. Kim nodded. And I don't blame them. Our drive is like nothing they've seen before. Captain Ji Lee walked onto the observation deck. She wore a formal uniform now with gold stripes on the shoulders. We'll dock in 20 minutes, she announced. The Council representatives are waiting for us. Dr. Kim felt nervous. This was humanity's official introduction to the galactic community. He thought about how much had changed in just 6 years. From not knowing aliens existed to visiting their headquarters. It was a big jump. Do you think they'll ever fully accept us? Sue asked quietly. They don't have much choice, Day said with a small smile. We're here now. The Harmony docked smoothly at the station. The human delegation walked through a long hallway to the Council chamber. The room was huge and circular. In the center was a round platform. Around it, rising up like a bowl, were hundreds of seats for different alien species. Ambassador Talira met them at the entrance. Welcome to the Council headquarters, she said formally. Today is a historic day for both Earth and the galactic community. The main Earth diplomat stepped forward and gave a prepared speech. He talked about peace, cooperation, and mutual respect. The aliens listened politely. Some seemed interested, others wary. Then it was time for the technical presentation. Dr. Kim walked to the center platform with Sue and Day. They were going to explain the improvements to the Thunderbolt drive. As Dr. Kim began speaking, he noticed many aliens leaning forward to listen. They were curious despite their concerns. The modified Thunderbolt drive now creates 70% less quantum disturbance, he explained, showing diagrams on a large holographic display. We've added a containment field that absorbs much of the space-time disruption. Sue continued. We've also Mapped safe travel corridors that avoid sensitive areas. The drive will only be activated in these designated zones. An alien with green skin and 6 eyes spoke up. But you still tear through space-time directly. The method remains fundamentally crude. Dr. Kim nodded. Yes, our approach is different from yours. But sometimes a new perspective can lead to new discoveries. Another alien, tall and thin with silver scales, asked, "Why continue with this method when you now have access to our wormhole technology?" "Because diversity of approach is valuable," Dr. Kim answered. "What if something happens that affects all wormhole drives? The galaxy would benefit from having alternative methods." This caused a murmur of discussion among the aliens. They hadn't thought of this before. After the presentation, Dr. Kim was surprised when several council scientists approached him privately. "Your solution is interesting," one of them said. This alien looked like a blue octopus floating in a clear tank of liquid. Unrefined, but innovative. "We would like to learn more about how your species approaches problems," said another alien, who resembled a furry spider. "Your thinking is different from ours." This pattern continued throughout the day. While many council members remained cautious about humans and their strange drive, others showed genuine interest. Later, at a reception in the station's large dining hall, Dr. Kim found himself talking with an ancient-looking alien. This being had pale, translucent skin and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. "I am Elder Zarek of the Vuldrak," the alien introduced itself. "My species joined the council 8,000 years ago." "It's an honor to meet you," Dr. Kim said, bowing slightly. "Your Thunderbolt drive reminds me of something my ancestors tried long ago," Elder Zarek said. "They also sought shortcuts through space-time. But they abandoned the research when the council showed them the wormhole method." "Why did they stop their own work?" Dr. Kim asked. "Because it was easier to follow the established path," Elder Zarek said. Then quieter. "Sometimes I wonder what we might have discovered if we had continued." Dr. Kim was surprised by this admission. "Do you think the council discourages new ideas?" "The council values stability and safety," Elder Zarek replied carefully. "This has brought peace for millennia. But perhaps we have become too cautious, too set in our ways." On the third day of the visit, the council held a formal vote. Earth was officially granted provisional membership. There were conditions, of course. The Thunderbolt drive would be closely monitored. Humans would share their research and accept guidance from more experienced races. But there was something the council hadn't expected. Several younger species had already approached Earth's delegation, asking to learn about the human method of FTL travel. "They see us as innovative," Sue told Dr. Kim excitedly. "Different, yes, but in a good way." "We've started something," Day agreed. "A new way of thinking is spreading through the council." On the last day, before the Harmony departed, Ambassador Hugh Talira had a final conversation with Dr. Kim. "Your species continues to surprise us," she said. "We thought you would either fail our challenge or follow our example. Instead, you found a third option." "That's what humans do," Dr. Kim said with a small smile. "We find our own way." "The council is changing because of you," Talira admitted. "Some members are already reconsidering old ideas, exploring new approaches." "Is that good or bad?" Dr. Kim asked. "Both, perhaps," Talira replied. "Change is difficult, but sometimes necessary." As the Harmony undocked and began its journey home, Dr. Kim watched the council station grow smaller in the distance. Earth had earned its place among the stars, not by following the path laid out for them, but by blazing their own trail. Humanity's first steps into the galaxy had been noisy and disruptive, just like the Thunderbolt drive itself. But sometimes, Dr. Kim thought, that's what the universe needs, a little disruption to move forward. "Next stop, Earth," Captain G announced over the speakers. "Preparing Thunderbolt drive for activation." And as the drive powered up, Dr. Kim smiled. The journey was just beginning. The end.